Welcome, Milena Dalinaros, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here.
Glad to have you on. And I know we have a different time zone, so it's always interesting to speak with someone who is in a different part of the world because we can always look at different cultures, different mindsets. And when we look at the universal mindset of the mind, a lot of similarities because we might be ambitious, we might be a little bit afraid, we might be a person who's very bossy, maybe a person who's very timid, but all of it is going to be linked to something that we're going to be talking about today. You are a charisma guide, and charisma is going to be that oomph that we're going to be talking about. In your own words, can you tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help?
Absolutely. I love that introduction you just gave. And in my own words, Charisma Guide, that's it. I have spent many, many years of my life to understand what this is, what is charisma, and how can we be as charismatic as we can be and find our unique blend, so to speak, of charisma. And what I want to do is to share what I have found with the world. I'm writing a book about charisma, it started out as a goal of being this really scientifically backed book of what is charisma, what are the different aspects of charisma, what does psychologists say, what does social studies say, and so on. But in my own insights and understanding, that is just a very small part of it, the part that can be explained with traditional, conventional science. There is so much more to it. And I have found that the parts that fascinate me the most, and also the people I speak with, are the more ethereal parts, if you wish, about the vibe, the energy, the luminosity that comes from within us and radiates outwards, and which can be felt by other people, which can be shifting the whole vibe of a room as soon as this person enters the space. These are the things that I have been looking into and that I'm really looking forward to share with you today, more about that, and also with the world through my book, through my blog, through every way that I can show up in the world and bring value through this topic.
Well, let's get straight into it. Is there a difference between vibe and energy and charisma, or is it linked together?
There's definitely a linking aspect to this. I have chosen to define charisma is an irresistible vibe fueled by life energy and deriving from a connection to life itself. It is both an enabler and a reflection of us living in alignment with our life vision, experiencing flow in our endeavors, and attracting meaningful relationships. It encompasses both the energy part and the vibe part. The vibe part, I've chosen to look at it as something that can be felt by others. So this is what others perceive. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything that someone can see, although body language, facial expressions, and all of these aspects also can play an important role. It is more something that is felt. It is experienced. It is perceived by something else than just our traditional senses. That's why I've chosen to look at the vibe aspect from that part. When it comes to life energy, that is more something that can also be a fuel. It is something that it can show that a person, when being fueled by life energy, it is thanks to this connection that we have to being alive, being in a state that mimics life. For example, being in expansion, that is one way of mirroring life itself. In being in expansion, that means that we are actively, consciously, mindfully broadening what we know about life, what we know about ourselves, where we allow ourselves to go, how we allow ourselves to follow our joy, to follow our curiosity, to send our message to other people, to the world. That's all of that are examples of mimicking life through expansion, for example.
Let's give a situation because this popped in my head as you were speaking. let's say, because we're able to pick up on someone's energy, the vibe of a room when we walk in, but let's say a person has a different energy than they typically do. Let's say I'm tired, maybe I'm hungry, maybe something bad happened to me earlier in the day. So my energy is probably going to be off a little bit. Is this charisma aspect always going to be able to understand the true energy of the person, or it's going to be the energy in the moment?
This is going to vary from situation to situation, obviously. And I can't give you a universal answer, which is going to be true in all of the situations that could arise. But from my experience, it is that how we feel in our day-to-day life does have an effect on what we radiate outwards. When you feel low, when you feel tired, of course, that is going to diminish our energy. It doesn't have to be that it diminishes our charisma, because being honest about our feelings, being honest about things as, for example, I feel sad, or I feel that I am afraid of something, that is part of being authentic. If we can be honest about feelings like these, feelings that maybe scare us or that don't feel comfortable, don't feel convenient, and we really don't want them, but they are there, we need to deal with them. It is much more charismatic to be honest about having that experience, because it's part of being human, to have the whole spectrum of experiences and to allow ourselves and not be scared of any of the feelings that might arise, even if they're sometimes really scary. And I understand that someone doesn't want to feel certain feelings because, well, it's not fun, it's not a pleasant experience. But if you try to run from it and fake some more accepted feeling, like, for example, no, it's fine, I'm happy, whereas maybe you're not feeling like that, maybe you're feeling betrayed or sad or lonely or scared, it is much more powerful and much more charismatic also to acknowledge the true feelings and show the world that this is something that you can stand in, and you're learning more about yourself also through these sorts of experiences. You're not only your best self when you're happy, you can also, or at least you're trying to, be your best self in the bad moments as well, and in the bad feelings as well. So I hope that kind of started to answer your question there.
No, any answer you give is the answer I want, because this is not about me. This is about what you do, how you think. Because again, teaching charisma is going to be unique, I believe. It's not going to be something where it's A and B and everything is regimented. Because I don't necessarily, or I haven't thought when I walk into the room, if I feel energy is charisma. And I just thought it was energy, but this is a new idea and a new concept for me, because I work a lot and I'm tired sometimes and I have a kid and sometimes you could be irritable. And I just wanted to know, like, does my energy flutter or fluctuate when I'm in those moments of being down and maybe not being my best self? Now, I still like present myself in a way, in a fashion that's not going to be belittling or demeaning to people. I'm still going to give my all as much as I can give. Maybe I'm only 50% that day. I'm going to give 100% of the 50% I got. And maybe they can tell from that energy, like this guy's giving his all versus, oh, this guy's kind of, half-assing it. He's not really doing what he needs to be doing. And I think that's powerful, because people today, I don't think they have much self-reflection of what they do in their day. They literally just kind of move, and they don't focus on what they do or how their day is going to be interacting with people. I mean, here in America, a lot of people don't talk to each other. Like if you're walking on the sidewalk and things like that, like if you think of a big city like New York, there's millions of people, and yet they don't talk to each other. Everyone's so busy. I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone. Everyone's in their own little energy bubble. How can we start to focus and be more perceptive to not only our energy, but the energies around us too?
Well, the sad thing is, because I recognize this as well, here in Sweden, people aren't maybe in in the shape needed to be able to focus on the energy of somebody else, because they can't even handle the energy of themselves. And like you say, many people don't really give the time needed to do the self-reflection and understanding their own energy, understanding their own emotions. And coming from that place to jumping into trying to understand others can be a huge step, because unless you've taken the time to know yourself, it is very hard to also take somebody else's reality into account at that level. I think that many people, as you just said, even if you feel like you're low in energy, even if you feel that you've had a long day, worked all day, you still try to be your best. You still try to not diminish anybody else. You try to take their feelings into account. And just doing that is already maybe the best that a person can do, without, trying to learn like high level empathy skills, for example. But that being said, I still think that being honest with yourself and also with your family, for example, about how you feel can be a very easy way to get many unnecessary conflicts and misunderstandings out of the way. Because then they will know that if you seem low from their perspective when they're observing you, they will know it doesn't have to do with them. They will know that it is just because you've had a long day. And that takes a lot of guessing, unnecessary wrong guesses out of the equation, which can save a lot of time and energy, for example, unnecessary arguments. And I have a son who is 6.5 now, and I have found that if I'm honest with him about how I'm feeling, it is much easier to communicate about everything else, because he knows where he has me and he understands why I am a certain way. And that being said, it's not okay to put your emotions and expecting a child to take care of your emotions or to make your emotions the problems of somebody else. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about giving him a fair chance of understanding me and not lying to him by saying I'm fine, or pretending to be happy and acting as if everything is super if I'm not feeling that way. I found that in that case, it's just much better to express to him that I've had a really long day at work and therefore I am a little bit tired. I think that if I just have the opportunity to rest for a little while, after that, I will be much more fun to be around. Then we can play, then we can do something. And he understands that. And he respects that, and he wants to help me accomplish that. He doesn't start to come at me and say, I want to play now, I want to do this now. He says, okay, sure. And he goes and plays a little bit. And then after a while, he understands, okay, now my mom is happy again. She's full of energy again, because now she has had her little 20 minutes to herself, and now we can play. And he doesn't feel that mean or me being, boring or anything. He understands that I am a human being with this physical body that needs some taking care of. And if I haven't slept for a long while, I'm going to be tired, and that's just natural. I think that being honest with him about my own emotions is also helping him develop his empathetic skills. And I don't know if he would have gotten that far as he is right now if he didn't know that I was always honest with him about how I'm feeling. That's also one little trick that has at least worked really well for us.
Yeah, starting children younger, typically I give them mark until 7. Like you really want to be driving in hard on emotions, morals, beliefs, because that's their developmental years where those are going to be maybe the foundation for everything else in their life. And if they don't have that, they have to do a lot of repairing later on. And one of the things I wanted to ask is, how do people develop charisma? Or it can even be, how do people or how can people develop charisma? Because it seems like charisma is going to be rubbed off by, just being around wonderful people. So if you have a wonderful mom, just like yourself, if you have good friends, you're going to rub off, you're going to emulate that energy. It's going to have a resounding effect where someone has a very good, clean, pure energy. It's almost like, okay, my energy is becoming clean and pure also. Where, they say like if you hang around like nine people who are broke, you'll become broke. If you hang around, nine people who are rich, you'll become rich. What would happen if you hanged around nine people who are happy, who are ambitious? Would that charisma become yours?
Well, first of all, I believe that we all have this seed of charisma within us. It's not, as the old classical definition said, that it's innate and it's a gift bestowed upon a very few select group of people and only they have it. That's not my belief. And that's not what I have found either. I have found that all of us, we have it. And it's up to us to choose whether we, first of all, believe that we have it. Because if we believe that we have it, then of course we will be able to do the work and believe that what we do actually matters. If we choose to not believe that we have it, no matter what we do, at least for a certain period of time, it will take much more effort for it to work. And we might be throwing a lot of self-sabotage problems into our lives to just prove to ourselves that we can't be charismatic, if that's what we believe. Believe it. Believe that we have this seed within us, we can nurture it, and we can remove the things that block it from shining through. And it's important to work on these blocks. It's important to understand what is it that is stopping me from being my most charismatic self. Is it some form of limiting beliefs? Is it fear? There can be so many different fears that stand in our way and keep us in place. It can be that we are afraid of some form of retribution when we start to outshine other people. Let's say we actually let through our creativity, our authenticity, some gift we have, some talents we have that we can share with the world. And we allow ourselves to enjoy feeling talented, creative, beautiful, and someone who has a lot of value to bring to the world. And we behave that way. Our charisma starts to grow. We start to shine and people start to notice this. But some people might have known us not being that way. They might have known us for many years of being completely different. Maybe someone who doesn't take so much space, someone who lets others have a bigger spot in the light, so to speak, and allowing others to shine by diminishing and dimming their own light. So if we find ourselves growing, and some people might find that as intimidating, because that means that if they want to still keep some form of dynamic that they are used to between them and ourselves, they need to grow as well. Or they need to change, or they need to accept that our relationship between us and them will change. That can be scary for others. Not everyone is really good at handling other people's growth and expansion. And sometimes this can have a result, which means that in some time, maybe in a few years, maybe in a couple of months, this person might not be a part of your life anymore. And this can be really scary. This can feel very sad, and you might think that, but this is a friend who I've known throughout my whole school era, and it's so sad that we wouldn't be friends anymore. But they are choosing to maybe not grow. Maybe they are making bad choices that you are not comfortable with, and you actually don't want to stay stuck in the same way that they seem comfortable with. Maybe you're not comfortable with staying stuck, at least not this inner part of you which wants to grow and expand. But it's still scary to know that, but if I choose to grow and expand and they choose to be stuck, we're going to drift apart. That's probably the most usual thing that will happen, and that can feel really sad for some people. And also the fear of retribution. They might start giving this person some backhanded compliments, or they might start to, make fun of this person for having big dreams. They might start to question your choices because your choices are new. They come from a higher version of yourself rather than from this version of yourself that they are very used to. And things that maybe they don't mean to, but they are in fact trying to keep you in your place that they are used you always having and being in. And yeah, so that's one of the fears. We kind of know that this can happen, and we fear this, and it can hold us back quite severely. I don't know, maybe you have known somebody who has had this sort of experience. Maybe you've had it yourself or something.
Yes, because when you want to do something big in the world, I want to do something big. And it's a daunting task to help 2 billion people in the world, just be 25% of the world, in some way, have some impact, a ripple effect, if you will. And when you go on this difficult path of trying to do this big, lofty goal, you're going to have people who are not as ambitious as you. They're going to want to take it easy some days. They're going to maybe belittle your dreams, saying, oh, that task is impossible. Why are you even trying? You're going to have those negative Nancy's in your life. And I do a pretty good job at cutting ties with individuals who do not benefit me. And I say that in a way not to look at them as a trust fund or whatever. Like benefit is not only about what can they do for me, it's what also we can do together. And the moment I see them not taking action when they can take action, and even if we speak on it and I say, hey, like this can be happening, and they're like, oh, okay, but they're doing other things, I will start to slowly take a step back, keep taking step backs, and they have plenty of chances to rise to the challenge, but sometimes they don't. And then I understand that it is okay to separate from an individual that wants to stay here because I can't be a person that wants to force people to be great. I can't lift you up to my level because you're just going to always be looking down at where you were. And maybe you have a very plush, simple life because the higher you go, the more problems and maybe the more obligations you have. And not everyone wants to do that. And when you were speaking, I was thinking how closely related charisma can be inferred to ego. Because if I'm thinking in a certain way, my ego can be driving me. And if we can just use a negative ego as the example, it doesn't have to be how you go after it. But let's say there's a football player and he's a star quarterback and everyone loves him, right? He's a very nice guy. But when he's dealing with the ladies or something, he might have an arrogant type of personality to him. All the girls will say, oh, he's a jerk. He's no good, but everyone else loves him. But it's the ego, right? The ego that he's this top dog and that he can get any lady that he wants. And sometimes that ego can get to you. Sometimes that ego can be a bad thing. It could be also a good thing. What's your relation to ego and charisma?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Love it. As with, for example, confidence also, which is also a very important aspect of charisma, somebody who is confident in a true way does not make others feel bad in their presence by showing how confident they are at the expense of others. And that's the same here with ego, with charisma. Somebody who has these talents, these skill sets, and these gifts that they have grown within themselves, they don't feel this need to show it off in that way. Rather, they will want others to feel really, really good in their presence. And it's also a very important part of charisma that it's not only like me making others feel good about me. It's if I'm charismatic, when other people are with me, they feel good about themselves. That is one of the most important aspects of charisma. It's actually called inverse charisma. It's more powerful than just being the star, which is the one everyone wants to look at and be around and be as this person, the it girl, the it guy. That is You can learn to be that. You can use the body language, the words, anything. You can be that person through, as this football player example, he would have his football career to, lend him this shine because he is someone who a lot of people look up to. He is talented, he is successful, and people feel good about who he is. They admire him, they maybe want to be like him. But what do they feel about themselves when they are with him? That is an even more important question. So when someone is that successful, or if someone is very beautiful, very smart, very, any type of qualities that a lot of people would really want to possess, when someone has them, that's, I would say, an even more responsible task of not using them to diminish others, but rather making others feel even better about themselves, making others feel that if it's possible for that guy or that girl, it is also possible for others. That's why we have been given these gifts, to inspire the people who are going to come after us and walk with us. It's not to be adored. It is not to be idolized. That is where the negative aspect of the ego comes in, that we somehow think that that's the point, to be the center of attention, to be the one that everyone loves and adores. It's not even us they would love. They don't know us. They see this tiny little aspect of us because we have played on a football field. They, if anything, they think they love us, but they only love the being in the presence of a star, maybe. But they want this thing for themselves from us. That's what they actually want when they love our ego aspect of charisma, so to speak. But if we make them feel as stars in our presence, that's the real magic of charisma, where that comes in. And when you're around a person like that, that's where real loyalty comes in. That's where real love is born. That is the difference then between the negative aspect of ego and the, I would say, a genuine charisma. But ego is also very important, as you said, because it helps us to set healthy boundaries. It helps us to have these big goals that we want to achieve. And it helps us know that this is me, and here is this line, and that is you. And know that I'm not carrying other people's emotions as my luggage. I am not going to try and take on other people's problems as if they are my problems. And I am not going to give away what is mine in a way that makes me feel drained. I'm not going to give away my energy. It is my energy. I will need it so that I can be my best self. I will need my energy to be able to accomplish my goals and help other people in a way where I'm not sucked dry from my own energy, where I'm not taken down to anybody else's level. No, I need to stay myself and know where my boundaries are and what is my space and what is the space of other people. So that's where ego is extremely important and valuable. And we have to also cherish our ego and give it what it needs so that it can fulfill this very important role.
I love the idea of just charisma and how it has so many different levels. It's very similar to mindset and how it can go so deep. This is not something that's surface level. And the conversation that we had today was definitely not surface level. We really got deep into it. And one of the things I like to do when it comes to things that are newer to the audience, when it comes to new ideas like charisma, because we haven't talked about charisma before, is to have the coach, have the guest give us at least 3 to 5 things that would benefit them from working on their charisma. And then after you do that, please tell the audience where they can find you so they can reach out to you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are open about this being something new and something that your audience will value, because that is really important to me. I'm so happy to be able to bring value to your listeners, something that will definitely raise the level of people's lives as soon as they start to work on their charisma, is that they will understand that they can bring so much more to the world when they stop diminishing themselves, when they stop playing small. Most of us, if we just start to think about it, after a while of having a certain situation in our lives, if it's maybe we have graduated from university, or we have a certain job, or we have been in a relationship for a certain time, we will start to feel that after a while of being in that situation, our life might start to feel that it needs the next step and the next step. We will feel that our life is too small for us. We have outgrown it. And that can sometimes lead people to break up in their relationship, or drop that job, or drop out of high school or university. That's not it. That's not what you need to do. Maybe in some cases that could be it, but most importantly, it's to know yourself. Know yourself on a level where you understand, like, what are my real dreams? How can I communicate my life vision so that I know that me and my partner are on the same page, that we support each other? How can I communicate my life vision in a way that encourages the people in my life to start communicating their own life visions as well? Because if we are brave enough to show ourselves and the world who we are and what we desire and what we dream of and where we're headed, then others will feel that same courage awaken in them as well. And that is how we don't necessarily need to leave people behind or cut ties, but rather do a lot of these things that we really long to do together with the people we love. And I am all about community. I think community is very important. For example, family or friends, that's something that if it's done right, if we have the relationships that feel deep and fulfilling and nurturing to all aspects of our lives, that is going to also, of course, nourish our charisma. When we have these meaningful relationships, they are going to shine through as well as one of the aspects of our charisma. And therefore, I think it's very important to nourish these relationships. And one of the ways of doing it is also by being authentic. Just like I said, be authentic in how you communicate who you are and what you want in your life. Maybe chances are that if that's not how you were from the beginning, maybe a person also didn't completely feel safe in being themselves 100% with you either. Start little by little to dare to be yourself as much as you possibly can. And like I said, with expansion, expand that, expand who you are, expand where you allow yourself to follow the joy, the curiosity, the passions, and show the world that you're doing this, and especially show your family and show your closest friends and show your tribe, your community. And most likely, people will catch on and also dare to do the same from their side. They see that, wow, this person is talking about their dreams, and it's okay. They accept themselves as somebody who is talking about their dreams. I can do that as well. You see, when someone who we feel is charismatic shows us by example something that you can do, it sort of gives us permission to do the same. And it's not because we need their permission to be our most authentic self. That's not it. It's just that we see that when they give themselves permission to be them, that encourages us to give ourselves permission to be us. I would say that is a very, very valuable thing that can happen when you start to embrace your own charisma. Don't diminish your light, make it shine brighter. And you do that by being your authentic self. Allow yourself to be that.
And how can people find you?
I am just putting on the finishing touches on my website now, which will soon launch. It's going to be www.milenadalinaros.com. This time I'm not so active on social media, but I will be soon. I've created so much fun content that I'm really, really looking forward to start sharing. So I will have the handle at Milena Dalinaros for X, and actually I don't remember. It's one is Milena Dalinaros and one is Milena Dalinaros. You just take your pick on Instagram and Threads and X, and you will find me. The girl talking about charisma, that's me.
And don't worry, I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to put those links in the description box below. People can easily just click it. They don't have to type anything in, and they can give you a reason to want to be more active on social media. Not saying that social media is a necessary thing you have to focus on every single day, but it's always nice to get a message that someone heard you on the podcast and that they learned something new. And that is the wonders of coaching and teaching and guiding, because we are here to help people be better, to help people understand the different aspects of life. And there are many, and we have to figure out what works best for us. And I want to thank you so much, Milena, for coming on, sharing your work, and just being a wonderful personality.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful talking to you.